icon in wrestling?
No, you know,
What's it like?
Well, you're asking me.
Oh.
I just came from your massive mansion in the hills overlooking Las Vegas.
I'm trying to
Decked
put
out
that
all
with
this
you
stuff
and you right now.
and we rode here in your Mercedes Phantom, and you're asking me what's it like to make it. You know,
No, but I mean,
here's
like, from your
something I think
perspective.
from you and I. This is where you and I are very similar. I didn't get in this to be famous. I didn't get in this for money. I didn't get in it for fame. I did get in it to meet my hot wife, but I didn't.
Who's right over there?
Yeah,
Hi, Stephanie.
but she didn't want to be interviewed. I didn't get in it for any of that. I got in it because I love what I do. I got in it because one day I was sitting home with my dad, and he turned the TV on, and Chief Jay Strongbow was wrestling, and it was the greatest thing I'd ever seen in my life. And from that day on, that's what I wanted to do, and I was able to do it. You're the same way, you know. You saw magic, and that's all you wanted to do. And every day you went to school, and you came home, and you know, school was just something to get through, so you could go do your magic, right? And you were obsessed with it. And still to this day, with all the business and everything else, magic is really what you do, and all the other stuff just came along with it.
Exactly.
And it's the same for me. That level of success, I could have never dreamed it, but it all just came along with. I think when you're passionate and love what you do and put everything into it, your heart, your soul, everything, where that's what you are, then you're successful at it, you know.
Crazy question: Hulk Hogan or the real Hulk?
I got to go with the real Hulk. I've been in the ring with Hulk Hogan, the real Hulk. You know, the green big giant monster. That would be the ultimate matchup, I think.
And tell us about, like, maybe one of the craziest matches that in your career that you had that, you know, that just stands out in your mind for a specific reason.
I think, you know,
maybe obvious or not obvious.
It's funny for me. There would have been some others I would have picked a little while ago, but just recently, at this year's WrestleMania, from Miami, WrestleMania 28 from Miami, I wrestled The Undertaker in a return match in Hell in a Cell, and it was dubbed the end of an era. And if you go back, you know, 10, 15 years ago in our business, there was something called the Attitude Era that was considered by a lot of people one of the greatest eras in our business. And all those guys kind of went away, whether it's injuries or retirement or whatever it was. Everybody kind of went on their way and passed along. And what was left out of that was myself and The Undertaker. We were the two sole survivors of that era. And we called it the end of an era match because it was probably the last time that you'll ever see two guys from that era wrestling each other at that level. And Shawn Michaels was a special referee, and the match, you know, turned out to be phenomenal. It was inside Hell in a Cell, and it was, you know, brutal and wonderful for our business. But it was very special to myself, to Shawn, and to The Undertaker, as just, you know, three guys that have been through a lot of wars, but have, you know, been through a lot of things together. And
the whole evolution.
We've seen the business from down to the incredible heights that it became, and all the way through. And I think we really look at each other as not only competitors and friends, but as truly as brothers in the ring and brothers in life, and the three of us have a special bond. So this year's WrestleMania for me was something special.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Any ever embarrassing moments or least favorite match that you had, like anything that happened that you're like, oh my God?
Well, I wrestled Shawn Michaels one time on pay-per-view, and he did a spot called a crucifix into a sunset flip, and when he did, he hooked my trunks and completely pulled my junk out on on pay-per-view. Luckily, they were on a back camera shot live, so nobody saw it. But it was a very quick recovery of trying to put my stuff away and continue to to perform. But things like that, I've seen a lot of embarrassing things over the years with guys, from accidents in the ring.
Give us one. Give us something more. I know people would love to, because this is the stuff that no one gets to hear, right?
All right, I'll give a funny one that happened on live TV. I don't know that anybody knows it or not. Jerry Lawler will kill me for saying this, but one time on Live Rod, Jerry Lawler had a little bit of a bowel incident while he was wrestling, and he had on white singlet with white long trunks. And as he was wrestling partway through the match, we're watching the monitor backstage, like, Jerry got something on his trunks. Something on his trunks is growing exponentially by the moment. And Jerry had a little poop incident that.
Really?
Yeah, you know, it's when you're getting slammed off the top rope, sometimes things happen.
I'm sure.
You know. Yeah.
And how did that? When he discovered that, or he knew it?
Yeah. Luckily, thankfully, the match was over before anything came out. But yeah, he was quite embarrassed, and you know, head to the back. The match stunk. Literally.
If you didn't do wrestling, what do you think you would have done?
Well, maybe I'd be a magician. You know,
You'd
I
be
don't.
the biggest.
That would be my thing. You'd be the world's greatest magician. I'm just the world's biggest magician.
No,
Not very good, but I'm big. You know. You know, I don't know. It's funny for me. I think in some way I would have had to be in some type of entertainment. I don't know if I would have tried to do TV or movies or music or something. But entertainment, there's just something to me about.
Excitement.
Yeah, being in front of a crowd and you know, whether it's what you do, what we do, to be able to manipulate that crowd and have them in the palm of your hands and entertain them. And, you know, exactly what we do is watch a smile come on a kid's face, or somebody be entertained by what you do, and they want to pay their money to see you, you know, entertain them and get them to forget about everything they have going on in their life for an hour or something like that.
Escapism.
You know, to me, that's the ultimate thing. I don't know.
I got to tell you a quick story that really inspired me, and it was directly related to wrestling. I was struggling at the time. It was in the 90s, and I put together a little 12-minute Halloween act that I was doing at Madison Square Garden at the time. I had to do 600 shows in about 11 or 12 days. Wow. But we were in kind of the area where they would have the car shows. We weren't in the garden, if you will.
Yeah.
And coincidentally, during that time, WWE had a show there. And I remember kind of peeking my head in, and because I used to watch it on television as a kid growing up, and it just blew my mind. The energy, the excitement, the controlled chaos. Yeah. And it just lit a fire, you know, in my body that I was like, I got to meet Mr. McMahon. If I could just meet Mr. McMahon or Mrs. McMahon, you know, and they see what I'm trying to do, you know, maybe they'll invest in me or they'll produce me or something like that. And it was a few years later that, lo and behold, the restaurant that kind of had like an entertainment complex on Broadway and 43rd, and I didn't meet them, I was doing it through somebody, but I had the room there. It was a little tiny room, and I put a little show called Mind Freak. And it was because indirectly they gave me that opportunity in that space, and then later meeting them and then seeing my vision and kind of supporting me, that I've acquired what you saw today. And I just want to say to Mr. and Mrs. McMahon, thank you sincerely for giving me that opportunity, because without that opportunity, my life could have turned out very, very differently. And I just sincerely, want to thank Stephanie that's over there. She's always been such a proponent, always so sweet. And you, I remember doing magic for you at the restaurant.
Yeah, it's funny.
That's how I first met you.
I tell stories about it all the time, two different stories. One was you walking in and freaking us all out. We were at a table eating, getting ready to do an event there, and you were going to do your show downstairs, and you came in, and we were all saying hello, and you had just walked in from outside and leaned over the table. So I think somebody might have said, Chris, do a trick for us. And you leaned over the table, and without touching anything, you like twisted this fork all up and bent it all and like blew all our minds, and then just left and went downstairs. We were all freaked out and blown away.
Yeah, I got to teach you that, because when you're fighting Brock, if you fight him, you don't have to touch him.
Yeah, I just bend
screw
him.
with him mentally.
Yeah, I need to learn that. Another time I recall you specifically was messing with Chris Jericho, was sitting in a chair, and you were doing a trick right in front of
I wanted to kind of
Chris.
embarrass him.
Yeah.
But in an entertaining way.